What is up, Patreon? Welcome back to the final episode of Spooktober.
We're gonna have to make this a quick one.
Well, it's not
That's
quick,
super quick.
but it's a normal episode.
Yeah.
But
We just went over an hour last time, so we got to.
It was the only one though that we did go over an hour.
That's
Yeah.
true.
well, what do you guys say we jump into this one?
Let's do it.
What is up, everybody? My name is Jake, and this is another episode of the Rotten Potatoes Podcast, the podcast where four friends sit around and review movies you absolutely should have already seen, but at least one of us hasn't.
I'm Zach.
I'm Tyler.
I'm Scott.
You didn't say who you are, so you want to do it now?
I said my name is Jake
I'm sorry.
immediately.
I was
actually.
waiting for you, and then I realized that you had already said it.
yeah.
It threw me off a little
Yeah,
bit.
no, sorry. I realized that I didn't know how to throw it to you, but I had already said my name, so I didn't want to say it again.
Yeah, one thing that I've realized as I've listened and paid attention during these episodes is Jake does it a little bit differently than us. He normally goes through the spiel, says he's Jake, and then has another sentence and then hands it off. Whereas definitely me and you, or we end it with I'm who I am,
Yeah.
and then Zach's a toss up. Sometimes he does it, sometimes he doesn't.
Yeah, we'll figure out what we should do.
You know what I imagine is happening right now is Zach's figuring out who drank some of his beer.
Yeah, who did that?
I know it wasn't me.
I took a swig.
This is
Oh, okay.
kind of like the thing.
You were sitting
That was-
you were sitting while Scott was talking, staring at the level of beer in your bottle of beer, and Scott definitely took your first drink.
My thought was there's less in this than I thought there was.
Yeah, that's what I thought was happening.
But I had no idea one of you guys.
Yeah.
No, that's a true locked room mystery right there.
I saw it happening, and I was like, yeah.
He
Scott
didn't
Turnelli.
just see it happening. I said, hand me his beer. He handed it to me.
He participated.
Yeah. That's accomplice.
Thanks a lot, guys.
I was a little thirsty. I've been trying to get all the stuff running, so I haven't taken any breaks between any of these apps.
So I have a question for you. So the year of Fast and Furious hasn't converted you to Corona Man. You're still a Modelo Man?
Modelo's just way better than Corona.
Man. I feel like Vin's gonna be disappointed to hear you say that.
No, we've worked through it.
Oh,
It was a rough point in our relationship when I first brought it up.
yeah.
Like Scott had to beat him over the head with a wrench about it.
Oh, okay. So Scott had to go to jail for a little bit.
It was-
Yeah.
I don't know how
It was
I
a
don't
street
remember that.
fight.
Yeah.
It was before we all were hanging out.
So before I met Scott when I was in
Yeah.
kindergarten.
Back when
Mhm.
Scott
It
was just.
But-
We've been hanging out since you were in kindergarten.
I didn't meet you then, and I feel like I would have heard about you going to jail.
No.
Scott and
The shooties just kept it under wraps.
Well, I have a twin that a lot of people didn't realize, and
Scott-
he went to jail. I didn't. We had
Scott
this
went to jail.
illusionist trick where we would switch places, but most people only ever knew there was one of us.
and now he's rotting
How-
in prison.
How
so-
upset were you when the Prestige came out?
I was like, "This is my story."
Yeah, you were like, that's.
Oh, were you really into magic and then you had to stop because the Prestige came out?
Yeah, I was embarrassed after that point.
He just stopped talking to his twin brother who's in prison.
Oh, that's mean.
He just
Yeah.
let him rot in there.
Yeah. Actually,
Sounds on par for someone who would drink some of your beer.
I was actually the person who gave him up.
You,
I was like,
you turned him in
it's
after
either
the
gonna
Prestige
be,
came out?
it's gonna either be both of us or one of us, and I can make it not be me. So,
So that, I mean, you really are the anti-Vin. You're like no familia for me.
yeah, no, that's why I'm a Modelo man.
well,
Modelo Man sounds like a song I've listened to.
Yeah, it
That
does.
does sound like a song you listen to.
Yeah. So the thing.
yeah,
The
we're
thing.
we're in our last ep of Spooktober, Jake. You're
It's been
bringing
a-
us home.
I think it's been a pretty good Spooktober. Maybe the best Spooktober we've done.
It's definitely not our worst. We've
It's
had
for
some
sure
The
not
bad-
first one was probably our worst.
Last year was tough for me as well.
It was tough for me too.
Yeah.
No, we had a real fight about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this is a good Spooktober, I would say.
I would say so too. And you're bringing us home with a sci-fi classic.
I've heard more than one person on the internet describe this as the perfect horror movie. I don't know that I agree, but I have heard it said.
By people on the internet. And we all know,
But they're right.
if you've heard it on the internet.
100% of the time they're right.
Oh, thank you, Carla.
Oh.
Carla brought snacks.
Oh wow, look at that.
Oh, sweet.
My beautiful wife.
Who's been revealed already in the last
Can't
Oh,
wait
is there
to-
Cheez-Its in there?
Can't wait to chomp into the mic.
Yeah.
Can you give us a nice little chomp?
Well, that was good.
That was pretty
That was
solid.
really
chomp,
good.
That was pretty solid.
So I just looked real quick, and as long as this movie gets at least a 28%, it won't be the worst.
I feel like
It won't be the
I feel like
worst
it's going to get a
Spooktober.
28.
It's gonna need to get like a 90% to listen to this.
Oh, well, I don't know if
I don't know. That
Season 2 was pretty highly rated for us.
I was gonna say, I feel like season 2 was a good spook.
But I feel like this is more true to the spooky movies.
Our lowest rated in season 2 was 75%.
Yeah, all of our movies this year have been way spookier than any of those movies.
The Exorcist was
That's it.
Decent.
I mean,
Yeah, but the year that we did The Exorcist, did
This
we also have?
It's just a better version of Alien, so it's like the same thing. This is Alien was that year.
I don't
you
know
think
that-
The Thing is a better version of Alien?
It's like the same thing as Alien.
I don't think
I don't know if I would agree.
the
with
alien's
that.
not like infecting people and like making them,
It's a slasher. He's killing people.
but not really. People are killing people, and it's infecting people. They're like remaking them.
It's a monster that is killing people.
But there's no
And then in
like.
their attempt to kill said monster, they're accidentally killing other
But
people.
there's no like question about if you are or not an alien in Alien. There's just like there's the alien. And
There
then
was
there's
questions
not
of
the
whether or
alien.
not people were infected
I don't think
with the chest burster stuff.
I think Alien is scarier than this movie.
And yeah, we all watched Alien together at about 2 a.m. in my house.
Well,
so there's a chance I slept through some of it.
That's not true. You all watched Alien together. I slept.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a chance. There's a chance that I slept as well, just knowing what happened. I don't think so though.
All right. Well, I'm gonna just take us through some of the facts here. This was directed by John Carpenter, written by Bill Lancaster,
Is this our first John Carpenter movie?
No, we did Halloween.
Oh, that's right.
released June 25th, 1982, has a runtime of 109 minutes, 83% on Rotten Tomatoes, 8.2 on IMDb, so they're really in line with each other. Box office of 19 million on a $15 million budget, so did break even, but not by much. That was a 1.3x. Didn't win any Saturns, but was nominated for Best Horror Picture and Best Special Effects.
Almost came out on my birthday. 2 days
Almost.
off.
I think they did that on purpose.
So,
Yeah, you think 10 years before I was born?
who was a late bloomer to this? I was a late bloomer.
I had not seen this version of this movie.
You saw the more recent one?
No, I saw the older one.
Okay.
Wait, I didn't even. I got to be honest. I didn't even know there was an older or
So,
a newer version.
There's
of
one
There
in
is-
2011.
So there was one that came out. This was based on a movie called The Thing from Outer Space
Uh-huh.
that came
okay.
out in like the 50s.
Yeah.
which
I
have-
know of it. Yeah,
I have seen that movie.
I know of it though.
I'm not shocked.
I didn't
though.
know that this was based on that.
I'm not shocked though that you've seen that.
I'm sorry, that's some snacks. But yeah, no, my dad likes that movie.
Also, the 2011 one is, I think, technically a prequel to this one. I think it's all about the Swedish.
Like what happened right before
Yeah,
this?
And
the Swedish research.
I didn't
station.
even hear about this. Was it just called the
It
Thing
was
as well?
very
or-
low
It
rated.
was called The Thing, yeah, and it was like, I think, really bad. From what I've heard, it's really bad.
I saw some like shots from it, and the CGI on it is abysmal. Like it's very CGI, not practical like this one,
Right.
and it looks very bad.
It looked not good. I remember it's been a long time since I've seen The Thing from Outer Space. It's so long that I was like not positive. And then I just talked to my dad the other day. I was like, "You like The Thing from Outer Space?" And we've all seen it, right? And he was like, "Yeah, I love that movie." So I've definitely seen it, but I haven't seen this one.
Gotcha. I had seen this before. I I mean, the first time I saw it was only a handful of years ago, I think, maybe 2015 or so. And I think it was probably based off of your recommendation, Zach.
I feel like I've only seen this movie maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay, then it wasn't off of yours. But I saw it off of someone's recommendation not too long ago, and I liked it the first time. I think I actually liked it way more watching it through this time than my first time through. I think my first time through, I maybe felt a little bit more of its like datedness than this time. Like this time I was like, oh no, like I actually still think this is pretty solid.
That I think dated is something that obviously I'm willing to overlook. I guess I can get into why I picked it and
Right.
my take on it. I just knew it was a very famous movie, and I think that this version is the most famous version of it, even though there is an older version of it. I think
Yeah.
this is the
Well, it's John Carpenter.
Yeah.
Like it's
and like yeah, like even like I had my garage neighbor at my condo had a big sticker in his garage on his tool chest that said John Carpenter's The Thing, and like I feel like this is maybe the definitive version of the movie, even if it's not the original. And so I wanted to watch it, and I was interested. And I think like I don't know that I understood what people meant when they said I would like to watch a fun horror movie, and then I watched this movie. And like I think in retrospect, I can see how some other like Psycho or something like that is a fun horror movie, but I don't think I really got it until I watched this. I thought this movie was fun, and I enjoyed watching this movie. And maybe it's not that scary because it's from the 80s and it doesn't necessarily look realistic or real, but I think this is a very fun horror movie.
Zach, you also had seen this before.
I had, yeah.
What do you think watching it back this time?
I liked it a lot. I liked it quite a bit the first time that I watched it, and then I've kind of considered picking it for Spooktober a few times over the past couple of years, and every time I would think about it, I'd be like, I don't know, like it's really old. I don't really remember if I liked it all that much. Like I know I did the first time, but like thinking back on certain scenes, I was like, I don't know if it would hold up as well as I remember. And then watching it this time, I was like, no, I don't know what I was thinking. Like this is an awesome movie. This is I really liked it. And I think you're completely right, Jake, that I think it's just a ton of fun. I'm super engaged the entire time. I think this is like I think the adjective awesome is just like really appropriate to this movie. I feel like the horror is light. I don't really think it's all that scary. And I don't think I would say it's the perfect horror movie or whatever you said that people have described it as, like the definitive horror movie or the perfect one. I don't know if I would say that. I'd probably give that to either The Exorcist or The Shining. But I have more fun watching this, and I had more fun watching this than any of the other ones. And I think it's still gross and disgusting and weird but at times scary.
Gross and disgusting in a way that maybe only an older horror movie I could like. Where like it's gross, but it's like so the practical effects are there.
It's
and
fantastical.
Yeah.
where I still like it, even though it's kind of gross.
It's gross, but never feels like vile.
Yeah, I think that's a very good way to say it.
It's I feel like it kind of does maybe what Tim Burton tries to do, where it's these weird kind of like, I think what you said, Tyler, fantastical is a really great adjective. Like, doesn't look real life at all. And it's just gross enough to where I'm really interested and really like engaged in what I'm looking at, and never too much to where I feel disturbed or a little uneasy or uncomfortable with what I'm watching. But more than anything, I think the mystery of this movie, of who is now the thing, who's the alien, is just so much fun. And I love it. And I love Kurt Russell taking command in every scene, and there's just a lot about it that I really like. And so I really enjoyed rewatching it for the podcast.
I think you like this movie so much that you had this year picked it as a non-Spooktober pick, and I was like, Zach, I already picked this for Spooktober.
Oh, did I really?
Yeah, you had like picked it, and I was like, Zach, we both have The Thing on
Oh,
our
okay.
list right now.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, well, what? I'm going to pick another movie because I'm in support of you picking a movie that I actually like.
Okay.
That's a good sacrifice to make.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
I do think it's interesting how much this movie was not accepted when it first came out. They literally called it the most hated movie ever made.
Really?
Yeah, it's,
Like in headlines and stuff around
it's
this movie.
really interesting to me how something could flop this bad and then be this like kind of loved after the fact.
And it came out the same year as E.T., which was like loved. Like E.T. made like $750 million back in '82 or whatever this was. And I just thought it was interesting that like so many people were like comparing that, like this alien that was kind of like likable and you could like have a relationship with it a little bit, to then this, like, and people were saying like it was too horrifying and like the characters weren't like relatable and they were just like vessels to be slashed and like I don't know, it was just interesting that that's how it started and now it has like a very like large loving base.
It seems like everything about this movie was hated, where like Ennio Morricone did the score for this movie and he won the Razzie for worst score. And then there were some things that were like on the cutting room floor that he didn't get included in this movie. I forget, he included it in another movie and then won the Oscar for best score with stuff that he wrote for this movie that didn't get included in this movie.
Wow.
That's fascinating. I really liked the score in this.
I thought
it was very effective.
I thought it was good too. And I like Ennio Morricone. I think he wrote what is maybe my favorite film score in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I think he's very good. What's the word?
Composer,
yeah. I think he's a very good composer, and I really like what he's done. So it's just very interesting that even that was so hated, that maybe it's just the movie was hated when it came out, that they were like, we don't even like this music, and then music for this movie that was put somewhere else won best score later. That was very weird.
I also felt like the characters were pretty believable in this. Like, I don't think there was really like any outstanding acting, but like every character felt like they did have a backstory and like their own little like quirks and things. Like, and it felt like these people all did know each other. And so I thought that was like well executed. And I think they like lived together for like a month or two before shooting.
That's funny.
Like in an environment, like they took him to like a snowy place and like gave him like a little like outpost, and they lived together for like a month.
Sorry, have the two of you guys given your takes on the movie?
I did.
Tyler,
Okay,
I don't think
Scott.
we've heard from Scott though.
I basically gave my hand. I said it's
Yeah.
basically Alien.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I don't remember how you feel about Alien.
yeah. It's like a alien slasher movie. Like I think it's better than Predator as an alien slasher movie. Probably not. I think I like Alien probably a little bit more than this.
Okay.
But I think it was done like well for what it is. I do think it lacked in like, you know, maybe some humor or like some, I don't know. It felt like it was a little stale at times. And it was like either like a lack of emotion or like I don't know. Part of them didn't feel like real people and part of them did, which was part of what I was getting into. Like I think parts of them felt like they were real and had like quirks and stuff. And maybe they're just like scientists and don't like dabble in the realm of like fun.
But they weren't all scientists, right? Like Kurt Russell was not a scientist.
He was a helicopter pilot.
Keith David was also not a scientist, I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think that dog guy was a scientist.
Yeah. Dog.
I was unclear on.
He might be a dog scientist.
Maybe he was.
Yeah, I mean, like this is pretty common in like some of those like research outposts where
sure,
they
yeah.
have to have like just professional support staff kind of a thing. Like,
Yeah,
and so
definitely.
someone who like does literally just care for the dogs that are a part of the dog sled, like you're gonna have that. Like he'll drive the dog sled and he'll just care for the dogs, and that's his full-time job.
Do you have the runtime of this movie, Scott? On that?
It was 109 minutes.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was surprised you felt like stale or stagnant at times, because I don't feel like we had enough time to feel necessarily stale or stagnant in the movie.
Maybe those are the wrong descriptions. Maybe like lifeless.
Interesting.
Like I feel like I don't know, and maybe maybe they played it well and it's because they're going through this horrific experience, but like there was like almost an inhumanness to like their lack of like humor, or like everyone was the straight man in this.
Would you be cracking jokes if there was an alien? Like, so say,
Probably. Yeah.
So say like one of us right now, you found out was an alien that was trying to infect everybody and kill everybody. You'd be like, "Whoa," cracking jokes.
Is that how you crack jokes?
I don't know.
I don't.
I didn't
That's
have
not
a-
how
I think-
crack jokes.
That's
I didn't
what
have the
Jake
right
thinks
noise.
You correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't have the right noise for it,
Yeah.
but you'd be like a silly little guy, like
Yeah,
like
would
the
have been
demon
like
from
the,
As
Conjuring.
opposed-
would have been like the Conjuring.
As opposed to a spooky little boy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
spooky little silly little boy. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
'cause I feel like I wouldn't be. I would be like, you know what, we need to get to the bottom of this.
Post haste.
Yeah, and figure out who's dead and is possessed by an alien.
Yeah.
You know?
I think I agree. I will say though, I think if this movie were made today, to Scott's credit, Charlie Day would be inserted into this movie with no role, just to make jokes.
Yeah.
Like they would just be like, Charlie Day, you're cast.
We've
in
been
this."
conditioned
And it's like,
by
what's
Marvel.
my like my character motivation? They're like, be funny. Like I don't know, man.
We'd have
Like,
TJ
you've been-
Miller.
Yeah, you've been doing Charlie. I think you know that like we've been conditioned by Marvel to cut the tension with like a stupid. So that happened.
Yeah.
Kind of
like
joke.
a skadoosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
was
just watched
Kung Fu
that the
Panda,
other day.
but-
Yeah, Kung Fu Panda. I literally just watched that the other day.
But yeah, I don't know. It did that. What they weren't having fun because I wouldn't be having fun either.
Well, I just think of like, I mean, like Tyler and I have spent a lot of time together, and we've gone through like, you know, difficult times or like scary times, and like even in the midst of it, like you know, when the head grows like spider starts crawling away, I know I would have said some awful
Oh,
garbage.
yeah, that's true.
Like, what the is this little thing?
So
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
would have.
like
been
I
through-
would have brought personality and humor and levity still to the situation as it's happening,
I don't
and
feel-
still been approaching it from
But
that
that
perspective.
I don't feel like we didn't bring personality,
That doesn't mean that everyone would do that. Though.
and I
know,
also,
I know, but none of them did.
also don't think we didn't bring personality. I feel like Kurt Russell, Keith David. I feel like they brought personality to the situation.
What was the personality?
Kurt Russell was like this. I feel like Kurt Russell was very, like, I don't know, like this, like take charge, figure out. Like I don't feel like that's not personality, you know, into the thing. He wasn't joking around, and I doubt that you would be joking around in a life or death situation where you're gonna die if you don't figure out who the alien is. I would, you know, you've laughed at hard times. You haven't laughed at alien. Tyler might be an alien impersonating Tyler, and he's gonna kill you. You wouldn't be
I know.
laughing at that.
It feels kind of like a weird nitpick. Like, was this an issue for you in Alien? Was this an issue for you in
I
The
feel like there
Exorcist?
were some funny things in Alien.
I don't remember any
I
funny
don't
things in
think
aliens.
once they
Yeah.
realized that they were in danger of dying by alien.
And like Kurt Russell at least made like jokes like, oh man, I need a drink after that. You know, like he made little like knife
Yeah, and
cut the tension jokes, but it wasn't like this
He
big
poured the
laugh.
whiskey on his computer.
Yeah, I was
gonna
say I also
Lots of
laughed when he
jazz.
broke this high tech computer.
Was that funny to you?
Yeah, I laughed a little bit.
Okay, so Scott didn't like
You
it.
can lost a computer and just destroy your work computer.
No, but I think it's kind of a funny reaction. I don't understand what
So-
what do you want from this movie?
He wants it to be a Marvel movie.
Yeah, apparently.
No,
He
I
wants
just
Tom
want it.
Holland and Robert Downey Jr.
Just
He wants
wants-
Iron Man to come in and blast the alien,
Dave Bautista to
spot
cry.
in the alien, and then drop a people's elbow after.
And then Chris Pratt to come in and be sloppy, but somehow maybe helpful. Like,
Chris Pratt to come in and punch the alien in the face when
This
they're
sounds
about
like
to
Scott's
get rid of it.
favorite
Right.
movie of all time.
yeah,
I would watch whatever it is you guys just said.
I think he did.
Yeah, you've seen that. You've seen 12 iterations of that.
There was just no diversity of character in this. They were all the same dude.
I don't know.
No, there was the doctor. There was like the doctor is not the center of the
No,
And the-
they're
and the
very-
dog
That's the
wrangler,
center,
not
it's
the-
Kurt Russell.
as a helicopter pilot versus what I don't even know what Keith David's job was there.
I don't know.
But I don't think that he was the same as anybody else. I feel like they,
he was some sort of technician.
yeah, I feel like this is a locked room mystery with a diverse cast of characters. That I don't know, as well be the Clue movie Alien. Like I don't know, I just don't get what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't get it either. But we can move on. I think.
What about the the CGI, the alien itself, like did that ever like good, bad, or different?
I think like as objectively, it's not great.
Yeah.
But
It wasn't CGI though, right? It was
It was practical.
It was all practical.
But like I just didn't care.
Yeah.
Like I think this movie got me to buy it. It got me to buy in to have a good time and do the things that I didn't need it to look like a real alien doing
Right.
whatever it was doing, because I was bought into what the situation was and I was having a good time with it. So I guess in answer to your question, didn't look real, didn't care.
I think I agree. I'm in the same boat. It's just, it doesn't matter to me. The point is who isn't an alien at any moment. Like that's more interesting to me than the grotesque part of the alien.
I think it. Oh, sorry.
Oh,
go ahead.
No, go. No,
I
I'm
was-
going to change gears a
I
little.
was gonna say I really liked the alien design actually, and I guess if you were to ask me, is it realistic or not? I don't know. I don't know what shapes aliens to look like, but I found the design of it really compelling, and it was weird and gross, and it did probably look kind of fake-ish, but I didn't care. Like it was so not anything that I probably ever could have imagined myself that I found it really interesting and really compelling, and I really liked it. When they see the corpse at the Swedish station and it's all morphed together, I'm just like, what the hell is that? And I love this movie.
I agree 100%. I feel like too often when you're watching a sci-fi movie, aliens are all bipedal, basically humanoid.
Yeah, like
and
in Close Encounters, they're
Yeah.
little Martian boys.
it's like, why do they have to be that way? And I think that was one of the things I liked about what was the movie Arrival,
Arrival, yeah.
where they looked weird and they
Mhm.
looked super different, and that's what I feel like an alien should look like, because why would they necessarily look the same as, or not the same, but like,
I think one thing that like I enjoyed about this being just so drastically different in so many ways from a lot of movies I've ever seen is I just never knew what to expect, and I did not predict aliens' characteristics. And so when it shapeshifts to that one guy and they go out in the snow and they light the flare and his hands are all disfigured and he looks at Kurt Russell and opens his mouth and that just inhuman noise comes out of him, I'm just like chilled to the bone.
Oh, totally.
and I also appreciate maybe how little detail we got about the alien, where it was enough that I really get on board with whatever they said it could or could do. Where it was like, oh, this is how we're gonna figure out it was an alien. I was like, okay, and this is what it can or can't do. And it was, I had enough information to, and not so much information that I can be like, why does this contradict this or whatever. Like it was enough to into, not so much that I was questioning anything that it could do.
When they do that blood test scene,
Uh,
the transformation and death that happens out of that one is so, it gets me. I love it. I
The
thought
blood
it was
test scene
really
is
good.
the best
blood test
scene of
scene
the
is
movie.
so
It's
great.
so good.
I kind of wanted that our opening on it, but I don't know that it would have,
It would
played,
be played
because it's a lot of noise and
Right.
it's a lot of visual.
Yeah.
You have to kind of see it for it to work. But that is my favorite scene of the movie.
I would
It's
say
so
the
good.
the only scene for me that the way it looked like was like pretty bad came from that scene though was when the dude like opened up, like his head split open and then
Oh,
bit the
yeah.
other dude's head. And then right after that he's like shaking around and
Right.
it's obviously very obviously like stuffed
A
doll
marionette, yeah,
type
yeah.
things hanging out.
And he's like screaming the whole time his head's
Uh-huh.
being bitten and
Uh-huh.
shaken.
And I
it's
think-
like, all right.
I think that's what maybe
But it's fun.
Yeah,
It's like I
it
think
doesn't-
it's just fun.
it doesn't bother me. But I
Yeah.
think that's what I was saying when I was like, does this look realistic? Does this look dated? That's what I mean. Where it's
That
like,
was the only part that I felt that way though. Like I feel like all the other alien scenes, I agree with what you guys have said. Like, but that part like looked like it was from a comedy. It didn't
Yeah.
look like it was from a slasher or a horror film.
Like end of what was the Neighborhood Watch or whatever, like something like that.
uh-huh.
I agree with you guys that the blood test scene is the best part of the entire movie. But the I guess death that gets me the most, that makes me feel the most uncomfortable, is when they're trying to do the autopsy on the dead guy and he pushes in
Oh,
His,
his
like,
arms get bitten off.
abdomen. Yeah. And then
And
it just like
opens up and eats.
yes, it
Yeah.
just really grosses me out.
That was pretty good. That was pretty solid.
I think I will say one of the things that I think didn't necessarily work for me. And maybe this is where kind of knowing what you're getting into in the movie works against you. Is I wish I would have had a little bit more mystery in the beginning about what was going on. Because like pretty much as soon as I saw the Swedish guys going after the dog, I was like, oh, the dog probably has it, you know. And that's where all of this is gonna generate from. I wish I would have been more uncertain about what was going on and kind of what was happening in the beginning while we kind of figured all this out. That was, I think, my biggest thing I didn't like about the movie.
Pardon the pun.
Yeah.
How would you have done it differently? Like
That's what I was trying to think about.
You only really know because you know what the movie's about.
Yeah, and maybe they find the sarcophagus and they open it up, and then everybody kind of has a different contact with it, and you don't know necessarily what happened to who. Where like anybody could have been the thing.
Like
but
if the dog was just at the Swedish place and they went and investigated,
I'm just saying maybe they cut out the Swedish people altogether, and they're the ones that make the discovery, and they do it in a different. I don't know exactly. I was trying to think about that, like how I would have done it differently.
I think that's how the newer one was.
Yeah, and that sounds like it was a bad movie.
Yeah.
But I think that doesn't mean that idea is
Sure.
Yeah, no, I think Scott, you make a good point in that it's really hard to go into a movie that's this old and this like critically acclaimed completely blind. But if you were able to do it, then I don't think that'd be an issue.
That's where I was saying I think that's where this works against me, is if I was able to go into this blind and not knowing what it was, I might have felt differently about that aspect of the movie. It's just that I knew the premise of the movie.
Right.
And so I wanted them to try to get me, I wanted them to try to trick me still. And yes, that's not a fair expectation of the movie because other people maybe didn't know what they were getting into, 40 years ago when this movie came out.
I would say one of the things I liked too was like pretty early on they imply that the dog got one of the people. When the dog walks into the room and you just see the silhouette of the guy,
right?
You're like, okay, like he's doing that thing right now, and you never see it or anything. Like the whole alien with the dog scene happens later. But one thing that I found out that was interesting was the silhouette was a completely different actor. It wasn't any of those actors.
Yeah, I saw that too.
They used a different person to not give away who it was that got.
Oh, that's good.
Uh-huh.
That to me is like mark of good horror. Like I'm trying to remember, there was a horror movie that I've seen recently where the I'm thinking of Zodiac, where like they change who's like voicing Zodiac every time, you know what I mean? Like so that you can't like use that as a clue. I think that's really good filmmaking, and I'm glad to hear that they did that with this movie as well.
No, I think I agree to 100%. Like,
sorry, we're all eating chips, by the way, during this episode. So like,
Scott's wife did this to us. It was very kind of her. But yeah, no, I think I agree 100% that like, the more you can take out things that shouldn't be clues that people are going to read into or whatever it is, like that, like somebody would have read into like, oh, this looks a lot like Keith David's silhouette or whatever.
Right.
But the more you can take that out, the better that is.
Yeah. What it sounds like we all more or less like this. What about this movie maybe didn't work for you guys?
I think I talked about my only big beef with the movie, and I think that is just maybe a symptom of knowing what the movie is.
Right.
I would say, and maybe I just don't understand the mechanics of how it works. Maybe so the dog, like, it starts absorbing all those other dogs. So going back to the scene we just referenced where the dog goes in and gets the first human, like, why does it then be a dog and a human? Why didn't they morph into like one creature?
Well, I assume that it wants to reproduce.
But everything that we saw with the other dogs was it was just absorbing those dogs and then looking like those dogs.
I thought that they interrupted it, and I thought the plan was for it to absorb those dogs and then make multiple. I thought that was the idea that it was going. Maybe I'm incorrect.
I'm not sure. Maybe, yeah, that's what I was saying. Maybe I just don't know the mechanics of it. But that was something that I was like thinking about. Like, so if the dog thing wouldn't have been interrupted, it would have been all the dogs would have just been aliens then.
That is how
that would be my presumption. Yeah, that was my presumption.
All right.
Because
That was
that-
the first
that-
thing I.
Because I think that's how it's gonna, take over or do whatever it's gonna do. If it's just one thing always, then I don't know how it's gonna really take over. And do.
Uh-huh.
And it seems like there are at different points there are multiple aliens at once that are inhabiting different people. Kind of, maybe not
But-
multiple aliens,
Well, it
but
sounds like
multiple,
every single
you know.
cell is a different alien.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah,
But you know what I'm saying. Like,
Like
there
all-
are multiple people that are aliens at once.
yeah, but the genesis is all from the dog.
All from the dog.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I don't. Maybe it's only interesting to me. I was just thinking about like because they started exploring like, oh, every single cell is like its own like thing, and I was like, okay, so like what is like the symbiotic relationship here? Like, how are they able to like communicate and form into like a completely new creature if they are all independent?
Maybe they're hive mind.
Hive mind of
Yeah.
some kind. Yeah.
So I just thought it was interesting.
I
more
think
than anything.
I think that's what it is. I think it's a hive mind, and that's ultimately when they reproduce into like multi-cell organisms, then they're all kind of working together to accomplish something, and that's how or why the doctor in his computer program comes out with it's like 1,000 hours from the time that it leaves that base till it's infected everyone in the world.
Uh-huh.
Like that's a crazy multiplication rate. So it has to be, multiple, like a hive mind kind of type
Mhm.
thing.
Was there anything that didn't work for you, Zach?
I don't know if I would say it didn't work for me because I don't really know how you get around this. But I kind of talked about this in the Conjuring episode that sometimes when the monster's revealed to you, it's not as scary anymore. And I thought The Conjuring did a good job of escalating the drama up to the very last scene. And the last scene, I feel like it has good payoff. Excuse me. In this movie, I feel like the last scene, the kind of showdown with Kurt Russell and the monster, was a little anticlimactic.
Mhm.
And I think it's just because we've had multiple scenes up until that point that were just a lot more tense and a lot more compelling, in my opinion. And so I find the end a little anticlimactic.
I find the end a little ambiguous because Keith David goes off, and I didn't buy anything about what he said, so I don't know that I felt that Kurt Russell had even won.
I guess I don't necessarily mean like as a resolution of the story, like literally the last scene, but I mean kind of more the big climax of the film,
Yeah,
the showdown essentially when he throws the I think it's like dynamite that he has or something like that at the monster.
Yeah. No, I get it. I think I get what you mean. That it felt a little bit hollow or anticlimactic. But part of that, maybe why it didn't bother me, was I wasn't sure if that was a victory at all.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because I didn't necessarily buy Keith David's story about why. I forget what he said, but I remember.
But I think they're
that
both
doesn't
going to
make-
die there anyway.
Yeah,
I think that's the payoff of the movie.
But I
That's-
think-
that's Kurt Russell's line is like, why don't we just sit a while and see what happens? Like essentially what he's saying is we're both dying.
But I think if Keith David was an alien, he would, because the alien survived in the cold, right? And if they were both human, they were going to die. But the alien would have hibernated and then gotten out.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, and who's to say the alien inside the fire base was dead either?
Right.
Like
Like
it could
they're
have easily still just survived in there.
they're presupposing that it can survive ice but not fire, and maybe it can survive fire too.
Yeah, I don't know.
It
To
did
me,
earlier in the movie.
Yeah.
and maybe this is unreasonable to me. That feels like a stretch because, like, I don't know. We see it getting hurt. We see it dying. To me, I want to buy that and be like, this is the rule of the movie. This is what's going on. So it's dead. But no,
But earlier in the movie, it got burnt and it didn't die.
did it? I don't
Yeah,
know.
they burnt a whole corpse, and that's how it then got that other dude. Like when it finally was like wrapping, like the one guy saw the other dude in the corner getting wrapped by the tentacles. Like that alien came out of that other burnt corpse.
Interesting. Okay, I think I remember that now.
Yeah, that they were putting into the storeroom or something
Yeah.
like that. They were just holding the corpse in the storeroom, and then it gets one of them.
Like I think perhaps the aliens on the like outside of the corpse maybe died, but since it's all individual cells, the ones on the inside were insulated and made their way back out. I don't know.
Yeah.
Either way, Fun movie, and you know, hopefully it's a fun game. I bought the John Carpenter's The Thing.
Oh, that's right.
board game.
We're gonna play that for the pod, right? Or for Patreon?
I think we're gonna try to. I bought it. It's at my house, so I think we should try. Hopefully, it's fun. It looks fun.
I'm looking forward to it.
Huh.
I mean, it's a fun movie. I can imagine it would be a fun game.
Yeah,
I imagine that we're all trying to figure out who's infected. Like I would imagine that's the.
yeah.
I imagine it's Jake.
I'm really bad at lying in this.
You're coming in just assuming before we even open the game.
Yeah, it's Jake.
The first time we play, Jake's gonna be
Every time.
Wow, I'm almost never the guy in those deception games, and that's good for me because I'm not good at it.
That's exactly what a guy who is the guy would say.
You're so bad at it that Scott actually thinks every time you are the guy, even though the game's over and we know that you weren't the guy. Scott's like, no, Jake
Someone
is still the
incepted
guy.
it into me.
Yeah.
So I'm like the opposite of your brother when we were playing.
Oh gosh, that was so funny.
Who revealed himself?
No, he revealed
Well,
Scott's other brother.
Well, they revealed both of them.
Scott's older brother revealed himself and his younger brother in one of these like games that we had to play. It was Secret Hitler.
Yeah.
And we're like not at the end of the game, and Scott's older brother goes, Brian, we did it. They didn't know that you were Hitler. And we're like, well, the game's not over yet. So.
Yeah, I remember. That was funny.
That was funny. Well, hopefully that game's pretty fun.
I hope so. It's kind of pricey.
How much was it?
I think I spent $55 on it,
Yeah,
but
that's too
most
much.
people were
Yeah.
like most places were listing it for like $100.
Oh,
And I was
wow.
like, I'm not paying $100
Where did
for
you
it.
find it for 50?
eBay
Amazon,
or
actually.
Amazon?
Amazon had it for 55 and then 100 from two different listings. Like, why would I not buy the 55 one?
I would have bought the 100 one.
Yeah.
Yeah, just I'm going to get something more valuable.
You
know?
know it's true work.
Yeah.
That's for the listeners. I'm telling them to shh.
Yeah. Like Christopher Walken.
Penny. Hey.
Sorry, Scott's reprimanding his dog right now.
Yeah, she's barking at what I believe is my wife downstairs.
So
She's just hearing noises and
The
barking.
person she's second most familiar with in this house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you please just like minimize the noise, Scott?
Yeah, my bad. That's my other dog eating into one of the mics.
Tell Carla thanks for the chips.
Will do.
That was the dog.
Speaking.
Yeah.
Zach, while being a husband and a father himself, is also Scott's dog. He lives a dual life. It's why he's so busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm such a bad parent.
That's why I say, hey Zach, do you want to hang out? And he's like, I'm kind of like laying at Scott's feet right now.
A little
I-
busy licking my balls.
Yeah, it's time consuming. Sorry,
Is that what you do when you like tell Kate you're going to one of your shifts? You just come to my house,
Mhm.
like I am your shift.
I think one of my favorite things, and I feel like this has happened more recently, is watching Scott decide what to flag to maybe edit later.
Oh yeah,
It's like somebody says something and then Scott just reaches over and pushes the button.
yeah. That's
I
like,
do
this
it
might get it.
as like a like I'm gonna go listen to it, see how it plays, and then I'll figure out if I want to.
No, I think it's 100% fair. I just always think it's funny that when somebody says something and Scott's like, well, gotta deal with this now.
Oh man. Well, you guys are welcome. On behalf of, I'm saying you're welcome on behalf of Scott for cleaning up all of our ridiculousness. So.
Maybe I'll just stop editing them out and just let you guys all sound like weirdos on the.
I haven't said a single thing
Degenerates
I'm
we
ashamed
are.
of.
What'd you say?
I said I haven't said a single thing I'm ashamed of.
Ever on
That's
this
fair.
pod?
Nah.
There's been a few times.
I don't
that we
know.
believed you.
Yeah, but Jake was not ashamed. To
You were
say it.
ashamed.
Multiple times you say maybe we're gonna have to bleep me for this.
I think
Yeah.
because he knows you'll be ashamed.
Oh,
That's like a.
You weren't ashamed about your poop story with your mom?
No, you know what? That I think is one of the funnier stories I've told because I told it later to a group of my mom's family and my sisters and my dad. And I don't necessarily see my dad uncontrollably laugh very much, but my dad had his head in his hands and was cracking up over that story. So I'm very proud of it.
That's fair.
You were
As you
almost
should be.
you were almost ashamed at the beginning of this episode when I had made you think that we were recording to Patreon, but we weren't. Or actually, no, that was last episode.
That was several. That was 3
Yeah.
episodes ago, I think.
You were almost ashamed.
Almost.
Well, I am proud to say that I have not been ashamed of this year's Spooktober.
I'm gonna say for me, best Spooktober yet.
I think it has been for me too.
I-
I'm pretty proud of this.
I don't think this is the best Spooktober for me, but I would say decent.
Mm.
I think year 2 still was the best.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't know. What did we do? We did Alien. We did Exorcist. What else did we do?
Psycho, I think, and
No.
Psycho and then Silence of the
Oh.
Lambs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Psycho was the weakest one of those.
I'd say this. I'd say this is my favorite.
Psycho. You think is the weakest one of those?
Of those 4, yeah.
I think that Psycho is 100% the best one of those.
Psycho's
No.
my least favorite.
It's not the best, but I think it's way better
I
than
think
Alien.
for that it goes Silence, Exorcist, Alien, Psycho.
I'm not talking about us. You guys are fools a lot of the time. Just, with most people, like historically, Psycho.
I want to say how we rated them also goes with what I just said.
I feel like it might be a toss-up because
Yeah.
all of those movies are really beloved.
Silence and
And, like,
Psycho have
crit-
the exact same scores.
critically acclaimed.
That's true.
You also rated Silence higher than Psycho.
I think that Silence of the Lambs. It doesn't feel like a horror movie to me sometimes, but Psycho is the best.
That's fair. It's fair you think that. I'm really happy though with this season, Spooktober. Way to go, guys. The Oct remains out.
Yeah, and last chance to get into our giveaway. Follow us on Instagram at Rotten Potato Pod. See what's going on.
Is this the last chance? This is coming out on the 30th. Do we need to like flag that and record like a holder like, oh hey, here's who won?
Yeah, that's true. Do you want to flag this, Scott, and see maybe we already gave it away?
No, I'm not editing it after I do it the first
Well,
time.
all right.
Well, then you guys will find out on Instagram right now. You can go to I'll say right now by the 30th we'll have it, even if it's that day. Go to Rotten Potato Pod on Instagram to see who won the Rotten Potatoes Spooktober glass.
We also have to rate this.
Nah.
This would be the only movie we don't rate.
All right. What do you
Finally,
guys say
It's
we
above it.
put this one to bed then?
All right.
Jake, you're first.
I'm gonna give this movie a 8 even. Alien Dogs. Keith Davids.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna give this 6.9.
All
Not lack of humor. 6.9.
I'm gonna give
Tyler.
this. I'm gonna give this 8 road flares.
Zach.
Am I alone that like I feel like we didn't hear what justifies a 6.9 other than you it was not funny enough.
You're not alone. It's just why talk about it. Scott's gonna say something stupid, and then we're gonna be mad, and then why?
A 6.9?
I gave the
It's
I gave It
his-
Follows 6.8.
I was gonna say
I
it's
know,
not
but
his worst Spooktober by
But
far.
we heard why
our
you
second
didn't
best
like
Spooktober.
it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like you and I think me and Tyler agree with you.
but
yeah, I think we're both just tired.
Yeah, it's just I mean, you know, a movie that Jake said some people have claimed is the definitive horror film of all time. It's just like
I said
6.9.
I think Alien was better, and I gave Alien a 7.4.
Okay, that's fair. I'll give this 8.5 things.
So this comes out to a 78%. Once again, Rotten Tomatoes gave it an 83%. IMDb gave it an 8.2, and this comes out to a 78%, which makes it movie number 70 out of 152.
So this is our highest rated Spooktober this year.
This year, yes.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, I'm happy with it. I can live with this. We went from Sleepy Hollow at a 59 to It Follows at a 73 to The Conjuring at a 76 to The Thing at a 78. That feels like it ramped in the correct direction.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah, I'm good with all these. Tyler, we're going to you next week.
Next week, we're out of Spooktober, and we're going into a very sad fall with Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Yeah, and then Blade Runner right after. Very sad.
I want to put this out here. It has nothing to do with that, but you guys do owe us 10% of your Halloween candy that you get tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if you could just mail that to Scott's house. I'm not going to dox him, but if you could get it here,
Figure it out.
and
Yeah.
we'll split up that Halloween candy. Scott's staring at me. I think you're gonna play me out.
What? No. No, you do not do that to me.
I thought you were gonna play me out so much before that. I thought you were gonna play me out as soon as I.
You want to hit us back up for Patreon? Turn us back on, Scott? Our audio? All right, Patreon.
Tyler's been asking to be turned back on for a little bit.
Yeah.
Scott.
Yeah, a whole 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Scott was ignoring me because he was upset that I hit his play out pad.
Yeah. This is Scott's board now.
Oh, man. Well, we appreciate you guys. Thanks for another Spooktober.
Sucks for me and Zach because we can't reach it.
Just give me like a little like motion when you want me to do it, and then I'll make sure it's.
Yeah, just like you're
Zach,
just
what
missing a
What's
message.
your motion gonna be? And Jake, what was yours again?
Yeah, that's it.
They're about the same. They're just subtle.
that's-
And now,
Stop.
and so,
Okay.
so here's chainsaw. If you give me a,
Oh, okay. Wait.
you a chainsaw.
And then here's. Wow, that is so much longer.
I
than
didn't- I didn't remember
You
committing that much.
didn't do the
Is this
the stop thing.
is this your footloose, Zach?
Yeah.
Yes.
The way you do that for Footloose.
Yes.
What's this one? Oh,
That's just our.
What else do we?
That's just Zach screaming the F word.
That's it.
There's. Oh, okay.
That's his signal for that.
Oh, we've got a couple more over here.
that's just open.
Another one of those, I think. Yeah.
One of these is me coughing. I know that, so brace yourself.
Yeah, so that one is like this, like a little
Uh-huh.
constant sorrow.
Yeah, constant sorrow.
I think you need. I think you need to work the cough back into rotation.
Yeah.
That's a smoker's cough right there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, did you have COVID?
I don't know.
It's intense. I'll tell you. All right,
That was for you,
Patreon.
Patreon.
Appreciate you guys.
Have a good one.
We'll see you next week.
Happy Spooktober.